Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 25th of October 2018, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, what's happening right now, what happened with them yesterday. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. There's always a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is the DAX. Now yesterday, as you all probably are aware, we had a big sell-off in the equity markets, especially in the US. And of course Europe was not an exception, apart from one index which I will get to after this. But looking at DAX, basically yesterday, of course, the index closed just slightly above the 1150 zone, but to be honest, after it closed, the futures market kind of continued dropping here. So in a way, we could see a nice gap here today forming, because the cash index right now is trading below this. It's trading near the 11,100 zone. So keep your eyes on that one, because we're probably going to get a nice gap here. Overall, of course, this is still remains kind of more to the negative side, but potentially we could maybe see a bit of correction back to the upside. Of course, we are still looking at this possibility of seeing maybe the 11,400 level, but of course with this bearish kind of sentiment that we've got right now, it's a bit difficult to talk about the upside. So in a way, for now, keep your eyes on the psychological 11,000 zone, guys, because we're not far from it. We could eventually give it a nice test, and if it continues falling below the psychological level 11,000, now the next area to keep an eye on, it could be the 10,825 zone. Now that was marked here by the highs that we saw around October time in 2016. So quite an important level here, guys, so keep your eyes on that one. And that's the 10,825, but only if we get a nice good drop below the psychological 11,000 zone. So going to be quite an interesting day today. So yep, guys, keep your eyes on it. For us to kind of, let's say, start looking at the upside here, from maybe more of a near-term perspective. I mean, again, I'll probably repeat myself. It is a bit difficult to talk right now about the upside, but nevertheless, keep your eyes on this little level right here at around 11,500. Now, as you can see, we also had a nice gap here. So in a way, if the index gets back up above here and closes this gap and eventually breaks this 11,500 zone, now this could place the index above the short-term downside resistance line that has been running since around the beginning of the month, this month. So keep your eyes on that one, guys, but again, for now, it is a bit, like I said, difficult to talk about the upside. Looking at the FTSE, now the FTSE was the only one from all the big major kind of most tradable indices, was the only one who closed in the green. So of course, not a huge gain, but nevertheless stayed here. Certainly we will probably also see a gap here on the opening, and keep your eyes on that one. This is the level that we're going to keep an eye on for today, the 6,870 zone. Now this level here was marked by the lows that we saw around the 26th of March. So in a way, that was the lowest point that we saw this index dropping this year. Yep, let me just double check. Yep, that's correct. So basically that was the lowest point that we saw this year, and this is going to be quite an important level as well, because as you probably are aware as well, that the US and the the S&P and the Dow have closed below their year's opening prices, and certainly, like I said, we could see this the FTSE get maybe following the same path and maybe closing below the this year's low, and this way we would see, if we would have a yearly candle, we would see that one in the red. So guys, for now, keep your eyes on that one. For the upside here, if suddenly this reverses back to the upside here and moves towards the 7,110, now this is where we could probably get more comfortable with the upside if we get a nice break here above that level, and then we could possibly aim for slightly higher. But for now, judging by how everything is shaping up in the equity markets, it doesn't seem to be very promising. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Keep your eyes on the 6,870 zone. If this continues to move lower here, then, well, if we'll go way back into history here, we could potentially look at this little area here, the lows that we saw around the November time of 2016, and that is approximately around, let me just quickly mark that, and that is approximately around 6,675 zone. So I do understand the fact that it's quite a big move here, but nevertheless, look how we've performed here since the beginning of the month. So in a way, to make another extra 300 points here for the for this index wouldn't be a problem. So for now, guys, all eyes are on the 6,870. Let's see how today goes on, and yep, be very careful with the indices. Now, looking at gold, of course, gold is having its safe haven moment. As you probably understand, that people are finally getting interested in gold again, and we can see now that we're breaking the 1235 zone. So I've mentioned this level a few times this week, and we're now breaking it and moving higher. So keep your eyes on the 1245 zone. This has been the high that we saw around the 16th of July. Slightly above that, we do have another potential area of resistance at around 1249 zone, approximately there. It also coincides with this 200 EMA shown here as the black line, and also could prove to be quite an important level to watch. So if basically we're gonna get a nice straight fly here towards the 1245 today, then like I said, keep your eyes on slightly above that level here, the 1249. Now, like I said, this could prove to be a nice important level as well. On the downside, well, for this one on the downside, it's let's say from the very short-term perspective, in a way you could continue monitoring this 1215 zone. A nice good break below that could potentially lead towards a little bit more declines here, but of course, for us to get really bearish on this one, we would need to see gold traveling all the way here down towards the 1183 zone. So for now, I mean, it doesn't seem to be that it could happen soon, but still, nevertheless, always have this in mind here, the 1183 for the possible downside. But at the moment, everything seems to be more positive. Looking at the euro dollar here, euro dollar had a decline day, so we broke this key important support zone. Well, actually, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart on this one. So we broke this key important support zone here at around 114.30. As you can see, throughout October time, it kind of continued holding this pair and kind of not letting it go lower, but yesterday we saw this drop here, and yep, the euro dollar kind of found its support here near the let me just actually redo this line here, because it becomes no longer relevant. So this is the new area that found its support, and that was approximately around the 113.80. So in a way, this becomes quite an important level to watch, because if today we're going to see a continuation to the downside here, and we're going to see a nice good break below the 113.80 zone. Now, of course, keep your eyes on the next potential area of support at around 113 zone. So in a way, you could start looking at these possible maybe shorts here, but again, be very cautious. Always have your stop loss in place. I mean, that's, I couldn't probably put more emphasis on that than, yeah, especially in this market that we're seeing right now, always have a stop loss. Now, on the upside, if this suddenly gets back above the 114.30, certainly not everything is going to be lost for the bears, because we do have this little short-term downside resistance line here running here since from the peak of the 16th of October. So in a way, you could keep your eyes on that one, because if the rate gets closer to this one, then I mean we could see maybe a rejection here, and this line continuing to hold, and we could see the bears maybe stepping in and pulling this one back down again. But for now, be very cautious with this one. Today we do have the ECB and the news coming out from there, so yep, be very careful with that. Probably don't trade during the data release. So yep, guys, for now, like I said, we're with the upside, we're gonna be more conservative on this one right now, because for us to kind of start considering higher levels, we would need to get a nice good break here above this little level right here at around 114.95 zone. So approximately there, a nice good break above that could potentially open the path towards the next possible area of resistance at around 115.50. So but again, like I said, for now the upside is kind of slightly off the table. Looking at another pair quickly, GBPCAD. Now this one is an interesting one. Yesterday we also saw this one selling off very sharply here, and it found its support near the 167.20 zone, from which it kind of retraced back to the upside, and now it's hanging around near the 168.05 area. So this is of course the area that we're going to keep an eye on. As you can see, it also acted as a nice area of resistance here in the past on the 1st of October, and also acted as a very good area of support here also in October on the 5th of October. So in a way, if we're gonna even if we're going to see a nice good move here higher, certainly this could be seen still as a correction, because if we just redraw this a little bit differently, let me just put quickly a downtrend here, so we can see that we do have this downside resistance line running here, and in a way there is, of course, there is a lot of space here for a correction, but to be honest, I mean, judging by the yesterday's drop here, heavy drop, we could see a follow through, and especially if we're going to start breaking the 167.20 zone. Now this is where we could probably become more bearish again, and we could then aim for a possible test of the 165.90, which was marked here by the lows of the 2nd of October. So of course, for now, be very careful here. At the moment, we can see that the pair is trying to correct itself back to the upside, at least for a little bit more. The level here, the potential area of resistance that we're going to keep an eye on is the 169.25, and like I said, if this gets rejected here, then we could see the bears stepping in here and driving this one back down again. So in a way, be very careful. Be very careful with this one, and certainly there is some space for this one to retrace back to the upside, but again, for now, this pair is looking more bearish than bullish. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on is that's USDNOK. Now basically we're still climbing higher here. It is kind of climbing above this short-term upside support line. Let me just quickly drag this one here. So in a way, for now, we remain more to the upside. Certainly we could see something like a correction here a little bit to the downside, where we could potentially test this short-term upside support line, and then move higher again. But for such a scenario, for us to see such a scenario, we would need to get a nice good break here below the 8.31 zone, approximately there. Now it was marked here by the highs that we saw around the 9th of October, and if we get that break here below, then we could see something like this possibly happening, where the bulls could try to step in here near this short-term upside support line and push this one higher again. So for now, certainly, if this, of course, if this doesn't happen, if the 8.31 level continues to hold, then in a way we could see a scenario like this, where this could rebound straight away here and then push higher, because the next potential area that we're keeping an eye on here is the 8.40 zone. Now, that was marked here by the highs that we saw around the 10th of September and also the lows of the 7th of September. So quite an important level becomes this one, the 8.40. So in a way, keep your eyes on that one. For us to get more bearish on this one, we would need to see a total drop here, not only below this upside support line, but also a nice good break of the 8.27 zone, and this way we could potentially aim for the 8.21 or even lower. But for now, of course, we're just gonna continue observing this line here, the 8.31, see how that plays out. Don't forget that we just had the Norwegian unemployment rate, but later on today we are having the Norges Bank interest rate decision, but again, we'll see how that reacts. We might not get anything, any movement here due to the fact that the rate is expected to come out the same. So in a way, maybe it's already priced in. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on these levels that I was talking about, and let's see how this plays out today. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you found it useful. And if you want to join me later on in my trader's tea time, and that's 13:15 GMT, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye-bye.